Are live in its usual spot. It's nice being home, except when I realized that Mayor Adams is the mayor and Governor Hochul, she can't be a governor. um, in any event, I'm back in New York, and we had a extraordinary experience with the eclipse. It was significantly more interesting, educational, exciting, and awe-inspiring than anything we expected, and we expected it to be pretty much of that. But at the urging of Dr. Maria, who is our scientist in chief, we all made arrangements to go, and we went the night before. We stayed in a cabin in the woods. Just want you to know that we can rough it when you have to. We stayed in a cabinet in the woods, 3 dogs, 2 wonderful people, and then, of course, Rob and, Ro Rob and Ted, I don't think got any sleep. Oh, the first night they did. The first morning I got up before them, I had to wake them up, which made our host think it was rather strange that this 95-year-old had to wake them up. So, it was fascinating watching it, and we'll spend a little time tonight, and tomorrow, we'll show you some of the films tonight, but by tomorrow night, we'll have them all pulled together. Uh, when you see lots of pictures or something, sometimes it's when you get a big how about this? When you get a big hype for an event, it almost always turns out to be like the hype or not quite as good. This was better than hype, and you see how fair that happens. That's what happens. You move in that's actual time you're watching. That's what happens during the eclipse. Everything goes faster. It's like a old-fashioned movie. That's why we get things done quickly, because we can move like that. Who the hell else can move like that? Imagine if Biden had to do that.
Oh my gosh, imagine explaining the eclipse. Imagine him trying to figure out the eclipse and how that works.
What do you think? What do you think they did with him during the eclipse? Put him under a bed or something? Raleigh did better than him during the eclipse.
He's howling.
I wonder if he was whimpering.
He has no idea what an eclipse.
So this is amazing to me, and this is why I was so glad that part of our official crew was. We do the credits for this. We'll have to give credits to Raleigh the dog. Raleigh is Steven's dog, and Raleigh is a very, very cute dog. Looks to me like a beagle, but a beagle mix, I'd say, because he's a little thinner than a beagle. Very nice dog. A calm dog, not an excitable dog, not a dog that is prone to get nervous about things from other experiences with him. All of a sudden, about 15 minutes before the beginning of totality. So if you remember, the way it works is about an hour and 20 minutes before the complete covering of the sun, right? The moon starts to move into the sun's path, right? So let's say here's the sun, and here's the sun, and here's the moon. Okay, so here's the moon. Now it's beginning to, so maybe it covers that much of it at the beginning. So that's the partial eclipse. That partial eclipse takes an hour and a half, about an hour and a half, about an hour 20. Ours was about an hour 20. So the partial eclipse was going on. Everything was nice until about maybe Maria thought about 75% of the way in. That would square with what I would think. So let's say about 20 minutes to 15 minutes before, when it was about here, because the very end of it is slow. When it was about here, like that, well, you're still getting plenty of light, less light, but what you are getting is wind. They said a 10-degree drop in temperature, like smack, boom, right away, boom. Wind. All of a sudden, you're saying, why didn't I put another jacket on? In the course of that, the little dog, all of a sudden you can hear this, sound like a cat.
Yeah.
Little Raleigh was crying. There he is. There's Raleigh. So little Raleigh was crying. So Stephen went over and comforted him. So did several others. And it took a while, but he stopped crying. This is all before, this is complete, right? I know this is not exactly what scientists from Harvard do, but then again, I never took courses on changing my gender. Here, before this happens, right? We're about here. He sits down and he calm now. And I petted him and I said, "Oh, Raleigh, that's good." All of a sudden, he starts getting up and going around like this, like aimlessly, not quite chasing his tail, but just like walking all around that area. You can look at his face. Now, actually, there, you see how concerned he looks?
Yeah, this is right before. This is as we were in the middle. You know, I just had a regular camera.
So he's so what's he reacting to? Also, you start hearing other little dogs in the distance, and where Maria was, which is about 3 miles away, they heard a lot of different animals making noise at this point.
Yep.
Now, the funny part is when it goes black, boom, he calms down, lays down, and goes to sleep. I mean, he figured, okay, it's nighttime now. But that whole leading up to it was very, very interesting for him. Now, with people in the area with more animals, they would have even more of a reaction to it. But there's so much to cover here. At one point, I had thought maybe going to Animal Adventure, and covering it from there to see what happened with all those animals. But I thought this would be a more, but we would not have gotten only have a partial eclipse there. And you wouldn't have gotten the same thing. So for those of you who were disappointed, may I say, you're people who saw the partial eclipse, and don't judge it by that. Don't. I was on with my good friend Sid this morning, and Sid was saying only morons liked it and stuff like that. You know, the usual Sid being funny. But of course, one of his best friends is me, the moron who liked it. So when he said, "Well, the mayor's got to explain it to me," and I did, and I think I got Sid halfway there. I think I got Justin all the way there, and I said, you got to get this partial thing out of your head. You went out in the street and you saw, at best, you saw this. Okay, well, you see that all the time. I mean, not all the time. You see it with the moon all the time. This. And what happens is, because of the way it's moving, it's so. Let's say here's let's pick a place in New York. Here's Albany, New York. So here's Albany, New York. It's like this in Albany, New York, right? But by the time it gets to Albany, New York, this is all you get. But as it gets past Albany, it moves a little more. So now you get to the Massachusetts border, and now it's still a partial eclipse. And then you get up into the lower part of New Hampshire, it's still partial. And then when it gets to the area of Lancaster, New Hampshire, it becomes full. And it goes through that way, through Canada out to the Atlantic Ocean. So partial eclipse, almost all of America had a partial eclipse. And only this was one of the biggest in terms of population. About 20% of America got a full eclipse, and far more understanding of the universe they live in, the complexity of it, the immensity of it. And I'm going to make one theological point. The fact that it's a planned universe. This is not an accident. There wasn't just a bang at no planned time, and it all started. Because this ain't no bang. And it's not at just any arbitrary time. They can tell you the time that the eclipse in 2079 is going to take place. Now, they'll tell you the exact moment it'll get over. It'll get over Pittsburgh, New Hampshire again, and how long it'll be. Will it be a longer one or a shorter one? For example, the next big one is in Egypt. And the benefit of it is the totality times are going to be much longer. These average 4 to 2 8 to almost, I'd say 3 to 4 minutes that way. Then they started to separate. The one in Egypt, it can be 6 minutes of totality. Now they know that, and it's 5 years from now. Now what that tells you is this was a planned event, planned by somebody. Who planned it? Okay, go up, make lots of excuses if you want. I think this is one of the 4 million little footnotes that certainly logically suggest the presence of a supreme being, a supreme intellect that is beyond your ability to understand, which is why they become atheists, because they're too damn egotistical to think they can't understand. This is, and if you want I mean that of course has gone on throughout theology, philosophy, but this is a big issue for Marx and Engels, that nobody's smarter. Their point of view is nobody is smarter than man, and they are the smartest men, which is why they have to rule. And then the people they pick are the smartest men. So when you think of communism as being egalitarian, it is not. It's the leaders of communism are very, very rich people, because they need the extra resources to direct, to dictate. Everybody else gets the same, whatever is left and pushed around. And there has not been a single experiment in communism that hasn't worked out that way, that hasn't led to massive violence. And for all of the Ivy League flirtation with a love affair with it, those stupid morons don't pay attention to the fact that it's killed more people than any ideology in the history of the world. And we are, I don't know if you know it, but that's what we are really at battle with right now. Biden is a player in that drama. Is he a knowing player? Well, at this point, he's a knowing nothing, which gets me to our first point as we move beyond the eclipse. Imagine refusing to turn over the video. Imagine refusing to turn over her video. On the basis of that video, independent counsel Her came to the conclusion that, and he put it in an ass-licking, euphemistic way, which you only do when you're a dishonorable prosecutor. He said he's a nice old man. How he concluded he was nice, I don't know. There's no section on nice. Here's the proof of Biden being nice. Hey, Her, I was a prosecutor. You got a lot of praise for what you did. I think you're a piece of garbage, because you suck. You were sucking the, you know what? That nice thing is gratuitous. First of all, we don't really care if you think he's nice or not nice. Number two, it doesn't have anything to do with whether you're going to charge him a nice or not, if he's nice or not nice. You know, Fat Tony Salerno was the funniest Godfather I knew. He was hilarious, a lot funnier than you are, probably. Probably has a much better sense of humor, because you look like stiff. And he was a dead, cold murderer, and I sure as hell didn't take it, and he went to the same 100 years in jail as the ones didn't have a sense of humor. You're just not cut out to be a prosecutor. You're cut out to be an ass licker. So all of a sudden he says, whatever you want to call that, whatever it is so serious, you can't bring criminal charges that you have brought against an ex-president. Just now, that you're bringing against his opponent, no less, who did less than he did. He must be pretty out of it. Nice or not, he must be pretty out of it. Well, of course he is. And here's how you know. They won't produce the videotape of the questioning that led Her to the conclusion that he is mentally incompetent to stand trial. If he's mentally incompetent to stand trial, he's mentally incompetent to be president. To cover up that, in my view, amounts to being a traitor to the United States of America. You don't have the right to cover up and leave there in the most important job to our country, where this man has already cost hundreds of thousands of lives, to let him do more of it. And you have no right to keep the tape. It's not your damn property. It's ours. And I do hope that that's going to be produced. The Clinton judge today, who gave the Justice Department a lecture on not complying with congressional subpoenas, saying you have set up a two system standard of justice with the man that you put in prison, Mr. Navarro, for nothing. The man they put in prison was raising a privilege that goes back to George Washington. Executive privilege was produced and created by our first president, so that presidents could communicate freely with their aides. Now, and he never got a proper adjudication of it because they were so anxious to put him in ankle bracelets and put him in prison like he was a real criminal, like Biden is. But Justice Department doesn't want to produce documents. They also don't want to. They don't want to produce the video. I think they should go to jail. You can't put the president in jail, but you could. I think we should call Jill Biden, and we should ask her opinion on it. And if she's advising him not to do it, we should put her in jail as an accessory. Also, for being a mean stepmother or step grandmother. I don't like her because of what she did to Navy. I think it tells you more about her than anything you can possibly. If a woman in a family can't soften the harshness of the man, then maybe the woman is harsher than the man. We'll be back very shortly with more psychological deep ones like that. Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. This is Rudy Giuliani back with America's Mayor Live, acting as psychiatrist, psychologist, and whatever else. But the way they treated Navy is an insight into the meanness of the Biden family, cruelty of the Biden family, and how when the only thing that counts is getting elected and reelected, then lives can go. And I don't know if we've ever seen a better example across the board of a president who makes decisions, or a group around him who makes decisions based on the way he did, based solely on his getting elected and reelected, no matter what the consequences. So that gets us to Israel. When Israel was attacked in October, that attack, how would we describe that attack, gentlemen, as one of the worst in our experience, right, in terms of just pure barbarism?
October 7th?
Yeah. I mean, we've had incidents where things on a much smaller nature, where 12 people die, or 14 or 15, where villages were bombed or attacked, or somebody went berserko. But this was planned well in advance, planned maybe for a year, with Iran. We know that. They did training. Iran trained them. They went so far as to get paragliders to go over the border. They have to have done things to mislead Israeli intelligence, um, which is actually, I can remember, I'll have to go back and find them reading stories and saying, oh, that border at least is pretty secure and that border is peaceful and there haven't been incidents on that border for some time. So they must have held back for the one big one. If they had one a month, there'd have been a lot of security there. But in any event, they came in, and I know it's 1,200 people, which is a lot, but you could say, well, gee, 9/11 was more. But the reality is they did it very quickly, very efficiently. It was a very effective terrorist attack, well organized, well planned, and in and out so quickly that the Israeli army, one of the best in the world, and the Israeli special forces couldn't get there to stop most of it.
And what really made it so,
And then what they did, of course. So who goes in and has plans to hit residential
homes?
Yeah.
Right? They killed these families in their homes.
Well, they went to kibbutzim. Kibbutz. Think of a kibbutz as a neighborhood, a big neighborhood. If you live, it's like Levittown. They decided we're going to go to Levittown, and we're going to go to Garden City, and we're going to go to Hempstead, and we're going to go to Freeport, and we're going to take those out. Now, the kibbutz are more organized in that. They're more communal living. They're a little bit more like what I described in recent years as they've broken away from socialism. And the other thing that's odd about it is that they're the most largely thought of as the most peaceful Israelis, the ones that would be the most likely to make peace, the very, very few that would be comfortable with the Palestinian state. When I say very few, before this, it was probably 70-30. It's now about 85-15. Support for what Bibi wants to do, and Biden is holding him back, stopping him, intimidating him. And how Blinken can intimidate anybody, I don't know. If Blinken said to me, don't cross the street, I'd spit at him and walk across the street. And he would say, thank you. Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Giuliani. I mean, he's a complete rag. So I can't believe that Blinken has anything in it. But what Biden is doing is disgraceful. For all intents and purposes, he's on the other side of the war from Israel. He is working the Hamas, Iran side. So a lot of people think he's doing it for votes in Michigan. I think there are two reasons, and I think we could have a fascinating debate on which is more important. And I have people on either side. One, he's doing it for votes in Michigan, possibly even Minnesota. Let's go a little further. He's also doing it for crazy Democrat votes. A lot of the people, like the riot yesterday in Congress, where nobody got arrested. You look at those kids. Those kids aren't Arab. Those kids are stupid-looking, mostly women, young women, some older women. They're stupid-looking jerks dressed up. Yeah. Not a single one of them has any. I mean, they look awful. Well, in any event, there's got to be a connection there that's too deep for me. But it's a bunch of white women who are marching for Gaza.
Yeah. Well, Mayor, again, this goes back to Black Lives Matter as well. It's 90% white liberals who are trying to, tell black people what's good for them. And then it's white people trying to tell
radicals.
Palestinian what's good for them again. So for some reason, white liberals have to tell other races what's good for them. They always do these kinds of things.
Yeah, they don't even know what's good for them.
They don't even know.
Many people don't have a job.
Exactly. They have no idea what's good for them.
What's their contribution to the world? Taking money from their parents.
Socialists.
Yeah, or trying to be
Exactly.
or trying to cheat the government out of a loan.
The reason white liberals just love telling other people what to do. It's like the most craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, and meanwhile, they don't accomplish anything. I mean, it's not as if they're advising from a position of having put together a great business or
Here's a great alternative. They have the
it is. I agree with that.
I agree with that.
We're going to have to find it.
You gotta take it down.
Well, Phoenix.
So they were at the Capitol yesterday, and when you first look at the pictures, you think you're looking at pictures of January 6th, and then you say to yourself, no, it's the anointed ones, and you say to yourself, geez, can't we get ourselves better looking anointed ones in America? We're going to have anointed ones. I mean, you'd like them to be like a group of good-looking boys and girls. Look at these people. Yeah, there's actually 2 people there that took a shower. All the rest never did. So you can look at them. They're dirty. I don't know why they think people are going to be attracted to them when they're so damn dirty and scruffy looking. And there
we go. We got them up on the screen now, man.
You know, a Republican committee should have stopped their proceedings and said that they were scared of these animals and put them in jail for 20 years. See if they like it.
Look at these guys. Send food, not bomb.
We do send.
We send food and then Hamas takes it.
We take food, Hamas takes it. When we have to bomb, Hamas puts the babies in front. And the leaders of Hamas are all the way off in Qatar, living the life of billionaires. And these jerk-offs are...
They should be sending those signs to Hamas.
So, you know that expression, the pot calling the kettle black? Okay. So here is Biden accusing the Republicans of killing people, thousands of people, over Obamacare. The only way people died of Obamacare is the high taxes it created, and it didn't leave them enough money to buy food. I mean, they're apologizing sort of now. But I think instead what he should do is admit all the people he killed. So why isn't he responsible for all the people in Ukraine and the Russians as well? But if we only want to be sympathetic with the Ukrainians. Is there any person that would like to be regarded as serious who would contend that if Trump were in the White House, Putin would have invaded Ukraine? No one. So why did he invade? He invaded because he had the single biggest patsy as president in the history of the United States, the biggest coward and the most dishonorable man who left people to die in another place he got people killed, in Afghanistan. Now, no one knows this better than the Gold Star Fathers, who say it directly to him, which is why when he went to their service, he acted like a piece of crap. Oh, let's get this memorial over.
And he also lies and tells them his son.
I went through this when Bo died in action.
Right.
Died in action in a bed in Baltimore Hospital. Right. I'm sorry Bo died. How many times have I said I'm sorry Bo died? I really am. On the same token, that doesn't give you a right to say that he died in action, to try to mitigate the grief of people, which if you had half a conscience, not even a brain, you would realize all you do is make it worse than when you lie to them like that and try to appropriate their grief as yours. That's got to be legit if you're anything at all of a person. This is why these are hateful, evil people. I don't say these words lightly. What I just described is a hateful, evil thing to do in the name of being a slimy, even slimy politicians and organized criminals don't do things like this. We now find out that he secretly flew 33,000 illegal aliens, none of whom had time to be vetted. He secretly flew them into New York, lied about it for the longest time, and then was caught when videos were made of his flying them in and never disclosed the number. The number is at minimum 30. So he's contributed 33,000 of the illegals, which I believe is more than Abbott. So why isn't Adams calling him a racist? If Adams is a racist, rather Abbott is a racist for sending illegal migrants by bus to New York, why is Biden not a racist for sending illegal migrants to New York because you used an airplane. You're racist if you use a bus, but if you use an airplane, you're not. I mean, it's totally it totally betrays the cowardice of Mayor Adams, um, who apparently is being investigated for taking upgrades from Turkish Airlines, where really the underlying crime is were their bribes from Turkey. I think if it's upgrades, all by itself, it's silly. If it's upgrades as part of a big package that leads to things of real value, then it's another thing. Should he have taken the upgrades? Probably not. What's the penalty? Slap on the hands, pay the money for the upgrades, and don't do it again. If the upgrades is part of what has some appearance of a big bribery scheme, well, different story. Then those people who told me he never finished his term will end up being correct. I did not make a bet with them, and they told me he wouldn't make it because he was not. How do I put it? He would take money. I didn't believe that. I still don't believe it. It's got to be proven. But they got to do better than upgrades, and maybe that wasn't the smartest thing to leak. Meaning, get a piece of real evidence and use it. Just don't leak it. I don't like their leaking against Adams any more than I like them leaking against Trump or leaking against me. I may be the last person left who has that sense of fairness and equity. If Adams did something wrong, man, he should go to jail. If he didn't do something wrong, they should stop harassing him. And if they're doing it because he complained about immigration, it works. He is so afraid of blaming Biden, it gets absurd. I mean, it's as if Abbott is the president. Abbott doesn't bring him in. Biden brings them in. Biden is the one who encouraged them to surge to the border. I mean, it's all Biden. Abbott is a victim, like he is. We have with us a gentleman who drives an electric vehicle, namely a Lexus.
Tesla.
Oh, a Tesla. Yeah. I was only kidding you. They just did a poll, Gallup poll, and over the last year, the numbers have switched. So 48% would not buy one. Last year it was something like 39% wouldn't, 42% would. Now it's 48% wouldn't and 38% would. So you got about a 20 to 25% swing. And in almost every issue, they even have come, and this is rather sophisticated, to believe that it's going to be worse for climate change because of the way in which energy is produced has a bigger impact on all the silly stuff they're worried about. But since it's all made up, I think you can make an argument on either way. Here's what I say is made up. Please, so you don't, attack me. I don't care. I really don't give a damn if you do an irrational attack. Just want to make sure it's irrational. So let me explain it. I am absolutely convinced, I'd be stupid not to, the pollution occurs. So if you're spewing out toxic substances in a city, you're going to do damage in that city. Did we have New York City down to pretty much a pollution-free city as much as possible? Even by the time I was mayor, yes. I didn't do that. I maintained it, and I kept it up, and I increased it. But we were at the point, don't laugh at me, when you actually could eat fish from the East River by the time I was mayor. Prior mayors, governors had accomplished that. I'm not sure I'd recommend it, but, and I did once send one to the mayor of Cleveland, which I'll tell you about at a different point when you beg. However, let's separate pollution, which is an immediate thing. It's like when I was in New Delhi for a big meeting, and I was with my law partner. And after it was over, I went outside and I had a cigar. A fairly big one because it had been a long day, a long trip, a big dinner. And nothing better for me at that point in life. I don't do it much anymore. Is digesting with a cigar. So I went outside, and I'm sitting there with Dan, and all of a sudden, about 5 or 10 minutes into, Dan starts laughing, and I thought maybe I had the cigar in my mouth or whatever. He's just laughing. I said, "What are you laughing at, Dan?" He said, "Turn around and look." I turn around, and my smoke isn't moving. There's so much smog, fog in New Delhi, India. I'm looking, and it's like over there. There's my smoke. I go, it doesn't move. It doesn't move. So I went up with my jacket and I moved it. I moved it. I've never seen more pollution in my life. That you got to get rid of. I agree. But now let's get to the, this fits with the eclipse. When you watch that eclipse, when you get any of that equipment like the binocular, the telescopes, even the less expensive ones, and you look at the size of that universe, and you realize you're only looking at, I don't know, about 8% of it. I don't care what we do, what we send up there, it's going to dissipate before it does anything. It's like taking poison and throwing it in the ocean. Take a little vial of this. If I took that much poison, it would kill me, right? Because I put that in the Atlantic Ocean. I could do the damn thing. So, and we had a reason I know this is we used to get sued for this in the water. RFK used to do that, and sometimes right, many of the times hysterical, exaggerated, and seeking the jobs of good people for things they didn't do wrong. Because for some reason, this environmental stuff can make you nutty crazy. It gets you like the cultist religious people, or the cultists who follow, the guy that tells them all to kill themselves, and then they kill themselves. There's something about it. Yeah, there's something about it. There's something about it that gets you like that. So these electric vehicles, I think Rob has the right answer to it. They're recreational vehicles, I think, right? I mean, they're hobbyist vehicles. Or if you like them and you don't mind.
We had our right, Rob?
But today you came out okay, right?
We were.
You beat me here.
We did. You have to build, and I'm going to say that I'm going to hand it to Rob. He's the owner. I've never owned a Tesla.
What app did you use?
Here? Google Maps?
It's
no.
Tesla. It's
He used Tesla. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, we were coming. We had to do a two-leg journey back from the North Pole.
Two legs, 3 legs.
It was a wild excursion.
Yeah.
While it was going on, the totality, it felt like we were in the North Pole.
Oh, you mean that temperature drop?
Whoa!
Can't experience.
You had to go find your jacket. It was
Didn't it get warmer? Like it was coldest in the period of time leading up to the totality, I thought. Windiest. And once it covered the moon covered the sun entirely, and the corona came out, I thought it got warmer.
Oh yeah, that's possible.
Because enough heat was now being.
Well, yeah.
When it was like this, it was really cold.
Yeah.
But when it got like this and a corona appeared, that corona was bigger than the quarter moon or the 1/8 moon. It created more heat.
Maybe there was like a radiant heat coming off of that. Well, Dr. Maria mentioned about how the air felt like it got heavy suddenly.
Yeah.
And it did. I had
different air.
Yeah, I had like an apparatus set up to keep the camera from shaking in the wind. But once that totality hit, the wind disappeared. There was no wind. There was no noise. Everything became very. Remember how quiet everything
Even the
became?
animals got quiet.
Yes.
Everybody quieted down.
It's very weird.
Absolutely, 100% true. Should I take a short break now? That seems unanimous. Mm-hmm. We're going to take a short break. Motion for a break. Anyone second it?
Second.
Pass without opposition.
Okay.
New year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Love Mike.
Mike Lindell's a great guy.
Mike Lindell is a great guy. So damn it, buy his pillows, buy his sheets, buy his
Slippers,
buy his handkerchiefs, buy his
bathrobes,
anything, but whatever the hell else he wants to make.
buy everything.
Yeah, buy
Little
everything.
Rudy for everything.
And it helps Rudy. You want to help me, right? And it helps the cause because, like Mike, money he makes, a lot of that goes to preserve our Second Amendment rights, to preserve our Fourth Amendment rights, to take us back from just how far they've taken us to socialism and communism. All of that, and Trump is doing his job, but our job is to act as an alternative underground. I see us, and by us I mean Sebastian Gorka, the guy who precedes me on the PAGs. By the way, if you don't watch PAGs, I'm going to work out a thing where when you get on my show, if you haven't watched PAGs, I'm going to throw you off. What do you think? We'll have a little switch. I don't think Elon will give us that because that isn't like free speech. But we're going to find out. No, we're not going to do that either because we don't take personal stuff. You see how tempted you could get to be like those left-wing creeps? I was going to get a little switch that if you didn't watch PAGs, I'd penalize you or something. Well, you're penalizing yourselves if you don't watch PAGs. And can we go on Joe PAGs in the next day or two, please?
Oh, yeah. We're a lot of travel again this week, Mayor, but the answer is yes. We just got to figure out.
But tomorrow we might have time. We'll be here.
6 to 8?
Oh, yeah.
Will you be here?
Yeah, we got to travel. Yeah. Okay. We'll try it. Maybe next week or on Friday.
Yeah, let's try to get
Maybe next week or on Friday. Now, among those who are patriots that need your support and deserve it, I'm going to tell you something. I don't try to sell you things just to make money or just to have the cause even. Try to sell you things that are also really, really good things. I sleep on, wear, and use Mike's stuff, and it's all high quality. So why shouldn't I do it with Mike instead of some creepy left-wing American-hating son of you know what? Same thing here. There are lots of supplements. There's a guy that comes on who's 89 years old that says he hits the ball 250 yards. I'm not going to be cheap about this. I'm just going to tell you, in the one ad that he did with his wife in a golf cart, she got out of the golf cart. He appeared not to be able to. So I want to see him hit that ball 250 yards. Then maybe we can talk about his supplement. In the case of Dr. Howard is legitimate as they come. He is the top guy here. A lot of this money goes back to protecting your rights against the communist swine. And this is a no-brainer. You need fruits and vegetables. Many of the supplements that are being foisted on you, some correctly, some incorrectly, are because you don't get enough fruits and vegetables. You take these pills, and I'd say, I don't know, could you get away with one in the morning of each? One at night? I don't know. You have to ask. I like at least minimum 2 in the morning of each. So 2 fruits, 2 veggies in the morning, 2 fruits, 2 veggies evening, afternoon, and you're going to be absolutely great. And I know when I leave them, when I travel and forget to bring my travel bag with me, after about 2 days, I start to feel, and once I take them again within a day, back up. I just took them when I came in.
Balancenature.com, promo code Rudy, 35% off.
You got to use that promo code RUDY. And I mean, these are huge savings, 35% off. Give them a try. Trust me, even the mayor is vouching for these things. They truly can make a difference. So, balanceofnature.com, promo code
How about
Rudy.
this weekend?
Yeah. Going into the weekend, what a great time to get yourself some Balance of Nature.
Weekend. I used them this weekend.
It was like a soldier.
He was the first one up.
Yeah.
Oh, when you guys had your slumber party?
Yeah, I don't know. Mike's a city kid. I don't know how well he'd last out in the woods, in the cabin in the middle of nowhere. You start hearing weird sounds at night out in those woods, Mike.
So when you look at the videos of the protests against Israel, you often see them say that Israel is committing genocide. This they learned from Biden. This is projection. They're committing. Not only are they committing genocide, they are committed to genocide, and have been for 50 years or more. They want to eliminate the Israeli people. They advocate for it, and then they try to carry it out. I don't know how many people Arafat killed. I mean, Clinton was in love with him. And I think, exposed that brilliantly when I was mayor, little twitty mayor. I threw him out of the UN. And the New York Times says I was going to cause war in the Middle East. Like hell, I was going to cause war in the Middle East. They were causing war by sucking up to the killer of Americans. And also, there's something wrong with you if you can suck up the killer of Americans. But in any event, there was a very helpful statement made by a strange source. Lloyd Austin said that there's no evidence that Israel is committing genocide. Now, I would like that on a poster, because Lloyd Austin is not by any means the biggest supporter of Israel. Now, I got to look more closely, because you don't want to attack a man because you're carrying over everything from Biden because he works for Biden. It is true you can say, well, why would he work for him? But those are very complicated questions. If he did say this is a valuable statement, particularly since he's not thought of as a particular friend of Israel. Blinken also said, Israel hasn't told us date for Rafah invasion. Now, that could be a dumb statement, because Biden thinks he's talked them out of a Rafah invasion. The press thought he did because he removed troops, meaning Netanyahu removed troops from Rafah. But then yesterday he went out of his way to say, I don't know if my friend Bibi knows Yogi Berra. He probably does. He should have said, it ain't over until it's over, because he said that there's still going to be a reckoning in Rafah. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I can't evaluate that. Is that true? Or is it a face-saving statement? I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to try to find out. I hope, like hell, that it's true. Now, Israel did take down a drone that was headed toward Israel, and they did it by the Iron Dome. I want to remind you about the Iron Dome. Here's another way in which lots of people would be dead if they had listened to Biden. The biggest opponent of Star Wars was the dumbest man in the Senate, Joe Biden. When Ronald Reagan proposed it, pushed it, developed it, mercilessly made fun of our greatest president, at least in 100 years. And there was not, and let's call it what it really is, American nuclear defense. There'd be no Iron Dome. That's the technology and the impetus for how we developed the Iron Dome. Bibi recognized that. And for the purposes of history, I asked him to write a letter to Mrs. Reagan, thanking President Reagan posthumously for saving so many Israeli lives. Now, I want you to think of the opposite of it. If Dodo had prevailed, those Israelis would be dead. This is what Gates is telling you when he says, and you didn't pay attention to it, and you voted for him, maybe, when he said he never made a correct foreign policy decisions. He didn't just make incorrect ones. He made ones that have attached to it in a very, very unusual way, large fatalities. Biden, when he was stupid and corrupt, got people killed. Now that he's stupid, corrupt, senile, and demented, he gets even more people killed. And how we can, even with the little bit of time that he has, and forget impeachment, how we can leave him there under the 25th Amendment, unfortunately and tragically, is a testament to how many traitors we have in this country. And I don't mean traitors here now in the legal sense of the term. We got those too. But people who double cross the best interests of the United States because they have their own selfish interest, starting with the first stepmother. She obviously enjoys being a whatever she is, first whatever, as opposed to, I don't know if she ever taught. What the hell would she have taught? What did she teach? Tiddlywinks?
What is this question?
About anything she taught?
She taught a sensitivity in dealing with your stepchildren.
Oh God,
Try not to create trauma for them.
yeah,
Like at
Yeah.
Christmas time, put out a stocking for all of them.
that's something I'll never forgive them for.
She should never be forgiven for that. She shouldn't. And it's a. Can you get me my binoculars, please? It's a little glimpse of her soul.
No, that's a really good.
I'll give you another glimpse of Joe's soul that I saw when I was going through the hard drive when I first got it. When his son says to him, "Pop, I'm a danger to the kids," and Pop doesn't do a damn thing about it. What would you do if it was your grandchildren and he's telling you that the psychiatrist of your granddaughter is telling the mother of the children, his sister-in-law that he was having an affair with, that she shouldn't allow Hunter in the house because he runs around with no clothes on. He calls prostitutes and talks dirty talk to them. He smokes openly crack in closets with the door open while the minor children are around, and he's sexually inappropriate. So this is what the psychiatrist said. Hunter denies that all of that is true to his dad. But then in a strange admission, or maybe a cry for help, he says, "But Dad, I still am a danger to the children." And what is done about it? Well, it's hidden because it would hurt Joe's career. Screw the kids.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a grandfather. Or is that an evil man? And he's running our country, ladies and gentlemen. Evil.
Yeah.
Opportunism is another thing.
Evil.
Screwing your kids is evil.
Mayor.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Well, we're talking about this, all these big issues right now. It's an election year. You're a Republican who won in New York City, of all places. I'm curious on your thought. We've been so focused on the Eclipse and that, but this whole abortion issue, and I'm curious on your thoughts, not maybe on the specifics of what's going on today, as some Republicans are taking some interesting positions, thinking of, the election. I guess I'm just curious on your thoughts. Is this an issue that if we're not careful, and I'm being a little bit cynical here, making it more political than, the whole issue of abortion itself, but if we're not careful, could this hurt Republicans in 2024?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
Political.
it's an extraordinary volatile issue. Let's get away from the morality of it a minute, because it's an extraordinarily important moral issue, and maybe more important than we even think, because I think it has a lot to do with the utter immorality of this country. But politically, it's its own separate issue. And I think Trump's position, which is the same position he had last time, and I don't understand, therefore, Pence's having a temper tantrum over it. I mean, if he was going to have a temper tantrum, why didn't he have it over the Democrats cheating him out of the election?
Yeah, right.
The reality is he's taking a position that not very far from mine as it's evolved, because I've had different views on this as I've learned more. But so I'm going to tell you the final one, not all the different ones, because it's a difficult issue, and I struggle with it. And I think he does. He is giving. He's saying, "Let the states decide," which legally I think is the right answer.
Yeah.
So let's put aside morality now, and or even the extent morality intrudes on law, which it does. So legally, the decision about what line to draw here is essentially a state decision. Like states have different standards and different interpretations and different levels of penalties for different kinds of crimes, right? Or states used to be, the federal government was trying to steal it, used to be in charge of education. It was considered a states' rights issue, a local issue. And of course, our government, until it got all screwed up by Roosevelt, and then by Johnson, and then by every Democrat in the world, used to be an exquisite blend of central government and local government, with local government very empowered, so that people could have a representative democracy. So if I'm very pro-life and I am appalled by abortion, or I'm very pro-choice and I'm appalled by restrictions on abortion, the ideal solution in a democracy is you got a place to go and I got a place to go. But you don't force your opinion on me and I don't force my opinion on you if we live in the same country. And we want to keep the country united and together, with a few caveats, which it took me a while to get at because I didn't understand them completely. In the first 3 months, although I believe that abortion is immoral, I do think that the law can allow states to allow it on the grounds that the I guess I'm trying to find the right word because it isn't quite an embryo yet. The emerging embryo, it could not live independently. Therefore, the emerging embryo is intricately entwined with the rights of the mother. So I think in the first 3 months, the potential life has the least rights, and the mother has the most. Now let's make it easy. Let's go to the last 3 months. The last 3 months, I think you're dealing with a child. The last 3 months, I think it is no different than if the mother looks at the baby after the baby comes out and says, well, crush the baby's skull. I don't like the baby. You don't get the right to do that. I think from 7 to 9 months, it's the same thing. Could be earlier. I'm not an expert on when you can live independently. I think it begins at the point at which the person lives independently. I'm talking about the legal decision now, not the moral. I think the moral decision is you can't have an abortion. And then in the middle period, I think there should be restrictions. There's no hardship in saying you got to decide in 3 months. It's an important decision. And here is what it's not, and it's become something that totally belongs to the mother. And that the rights of women are being affected by saying that there are obligations they take on if they get pregnant. There certainly are obligations they take on if they become a mother. And you're not taking away someone's freedom by saying they have obligations. I mean, so in fact, what you're becoming is a narcissistic society, which is what the feminist movement was really all about, that women can do anything the hell they want. And by the way, if they say a rape occurred, we take away the presumption of innocence. The reality is that there are big differences between men and women, but not on lying, and not on lying about sex. Men and women both lie about sex. And in the area of sexual activity, there's probably more lying than any other area because it's more prone to emotion, anger, jealousy. It's absurd. Any legal expert or other experts saying, "Oh, women have no motive not to lie about abuse or rape or whatever," are just being silly, silly, politically correct. I want to join the crowd. Small minds. Yeah, it is, and it's disrespectful to women. So the same rules that apply to when someone's charged with murder or someone is charged with theft should apply to this area of sexual harassment and rape. It's got to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, and the man or woman, if it turns out that it's harassment by a woman, which is rare but happens, has the benefit of the doubt. And we're going to be a lot better off when we do that, and when we also recognize that there are substantial differences between a man and a woman, and substantial similarities, and that some of the differences are scientific. You want to talk about science? We got to go back to the science. Yeah, the science is, the science. Let's go back to the science. That little dog running around there, is that a boy or a girl? We hold the dog up and we say, "Oh, it's a boy," or we hold the dog up and we say, "Oh, it's a girl." Now, we don't look at the dog who's moping around and say, "Oh, gee, the dog is maybe thinking about suicide. Why don't we just chop off its organs and see what that does?" Yeah. And what possibly could help a distortion like you are a male, but you think you're a female? Isn't that the definition of a, don't get all upset now, calm down, take it easy. Anybody have Valium? Isn't that the definition of a mental illness? I'm Rudolph Giuliani, but I think I'm George Washington.
And you're really serious.
I'm a man, but I think I'm a woman. Now, this is not just Dr. Giuliani's view. This has been the view of science since they started thinking about this. This is a mental illness that has to be treated. This isn't a political thing or a equity thing, whatever the hell that is thing. This isn't something that can be done to impressionable children before they're old enough to get tattooed. And why are they old? Why do they have to be old enough to be tattooed? Because it's a permanent decision that's going to live with them forever. And a lot of kids have a whim to get tattooed. And then when they're 20, they say to themselves, "Why the hell did I get myself tattooed?" So what's the difference in having them wait a little? Might teach them something called patience, which might make them extraordinarily successful. Or it might teach them, hey, you can't have everything you want exactly when you want. And by the way, life is not about you having everything you want when you want. Life is about how much you contribute. So stop whining and go work on weekends to help poor people, or go work on weekends and help the church, or go work on weekends and do something valuable, or get a job and support yourself.
Volunteer.
Yeah. Take in, if you're in favor of illegal migration, take them in, or go over to Palestine and take in a bunch of Palestinians who are taught to kill you.
Go help free Palestine.
Yeah.
There you go.
Especially if gay people, I think, should really go over there and try to help.
No. That's silly. It is silly. I mean, it's silly because, you don't want people to get killed just because they're distorted in thinking. I mean, it is hard to understand why gay people would support any of the Islamic who would support any of the Islamic extremist groups because they are anti-gay and they stone them and kill them, and so I think maybe there's got to be a distortion there, but there have to be better ways to teach them than that. Um, let me see. There's one other thing here I wanted to make sure you knew about. Oh, the IDF killed the emergency committee leader in central Gaza. Now, I point that out because maybe Bibi is backed off in southern Gaza, but he's taken them out. So I don't know, and I really would like to know, and I am going to try to figure it out by asking questions. Has Biden completely overcome Bibi's objections? And Bibi, when he took the troops out of Gaza, was indicating that there is going to be a ceasefire without a deal on the hostages, which is a complete flip of Biden's position and then of Bibi's. And Bibi is doing what he knows is wrong and what 85% of his people don't want to do. Because if it is, he's really ruined forever the relationship between the United States and Israel. If Biden actually succeeded in doing that and Bibi succumbed. Or is it a temporary, let's hold Biden off, and that promise that we're going to get those people in who are hiding in Rafah is real? I'd like to know that. It makes a difference, and it could be either. Because of my affection for Bibi and respect for him and my totally accurate view, more accurate than probably anyone, because I probably know Biden better than anyone other than people in his family. Biden's reason is completely evil. Biden's reason is to not only help Hamas, he couldn't really give a damn about Hamas, but to help Iran, where he's one of the biggest investors. I mean, how all of you can deal with any degree of seriousness with a president who gives hundreds of billions rather, to people who are terrorists is beyond me. And how we didn't demand that Obama be put in jail for giving them cash is probably one of the most traumatic indications of how we can't even be listed as a country with anything approaching a fair judicial system. And as I said, it may be returning, because I thought the Clinton judge today saying that the White House is utilizing a double standard in the way they deal with Navarro and in the way they're trying to hide things from Congress was, first of all, the right decision. Legally, for once, we get the right decision. We're beginning, if that keeps up, we can begin to break away from describing judges, which would be much better, as Biden judges or Trump judges or Clinton judges. We just have judges who make the right decision. And it hurts good judges, because you take a judge like the judge in Cannon in Florida, I have to believe they're trying to intimidate the hell out of her for making decisions that are beneficial to Trump by pointing out that she was appointed by Trump. That's sort of like arguing with the umpire to try to affect their decisions. A good umpire will avoid that. So did we get all our commercials in?
We've gotten our commercials in. We're going over some different Eclipse footage that I have.
Yeah.
QUX, we can do that one still. Yeah.
So let's do QUX, because people for the last week have slowed down on QUX, and we want you to speed up. Okay. Come on, get your QUX. It's a very, very valuable, important thing, particularly for your privacy and also for getting all of the news. So let's play that.
New year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts.
Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes.
This is America's first super app. Easily build your portal, share and monetize video content, live stream, products, music, apps, and more. Engage in live chats and private video messaging. This isn't just a TV box or streaming device. This is your social television console. Become a merchant without any setup or monthly fees. Buy and sell using QUX tokens for private and secure encrypted transactions. You control the ads you watch. You control the content you see. You have easy access to products and services you want, all at the press of a button. QUX brings people together, enhances fellowship, community, and networking capabilities while protecting privacy like never before. Don't wait. Get yours before the sale ends. Go to QUX.tv right now and order your QUX TV box today. Be part of a new digital frontier.
Welcome back, and we do know we're on soccer time, but we're going to give you a little review of the film that we took. We have a lot of it, and we're editing it, and we're going to play some of it tomorrow night and Thursday night, and we're also going to do a special on America's Mayor Confidential. But let's take a look at some of it, and Ted.
Now, do you want to narrate while we play?
Yeah, why don't you? We'll both narrate, but you took it, so you have a better idea of what we're looking at.
That's right. So we'll play this first one here. Well, we played this one yesterday. Let's play a new one.
Well, tell us what that was.
So that is the, what do they refer to that as? The
Is that the beginning of the?
yes.
About to go 100%.
Yeah.
So we're right there in the last stages of
That's right.
partial.
That's right.
Of partial eclipse and moving into total. Partial eclipse is when the sun is partially blocked by it's partially blocking
You can see that's my
the moon is partially blocking the sun.
That's my hand. That's why it's so nuts.
Yeah. It's moving because you didn't have that one on a tripod. But the reality is it is
It goes. Look.
now it just went so that is totality.
Yep.
When the lights went out, that was totality, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And the filter.
This is the last little minute of the right. That's just the crest.
And the filter was on, which is why everything is black.
Right.
Yes. So if you play the longer clip, we'll show how we kind of came out of.
So now the moon has completely covered the sun, and you can't see the corona that develops
Right.
because there's a filter on the lens protecting it from the hot sun that doesn't need to be there anymore because there is no hot sun.
That's right.
Show us the rest.
So this is the rest. So we'll show now where we're coming out of where we turn the filter off, right? So this is the
Show us when the filter comes off, what it looks like.
yeah. So this is just making sure we're playing this right on the screen. So this is it. This is that one. This is the end. This is right before the total eclipse, right? That's the moon covering every part of the sun except for the little corner, and you'll see it go completely black. But remember, this is with a filter on. So this is what you see through a filter, right? You see the sliver of the sun. And so it's not totally blackout, but through the filter it is, because that's meant to just take in the light.
We're getting close to it's being pretty blackout.
Totality happens and hits right about now. And so this right there, when that light goes away, that's when they tell you, take out the filter. And the mayor is one that reminded us too. So here, this little black area is when the filter is yet to be taken off.
That's when the little crystal light was about to go.
Yeah. And then boom.
Which you don't see on the filter.
That's right. And then we eventually, this is black, right? This stays black, and then we take off the filter. So what you're about to see is us taking off the filter. Boom! I just removed the filter. So this is the middle of the moon. That's the moon, right?
Okay. This is very valuable because when many people see this and they hear it goes black, they think it's like what we just saw, all black,
Right.
because they see that filmed.
But it's not.
But if you notice, it's not completely dark.
And this is video right now. This is not.
There was, and I was surprised by that because I brought some flashlights with me. I thought it was going to go completely, like you couldn't see anything.
Right.
But in fact, that corona gives off a decent amount of light.
Yes.
So as you see, it's a blue. And I think that's pretty accurate color too. Are you looking at it, Rob? I want your.
Yeah. Well, I think
It was a bluish black, right?
the hundreds of miles of atmosphere surrounding that are still getting light from the sun. We're in a little spot. We're in a shadow, but the atmosphere acts as a conduit for light. It's
That looks like a donut.
Yes.
And around the rings there are the corona.
Yes. And this is just through a regular cell phone zoomed in. And that's why the sun, the power of the sun's rays, right, make the moon look so small.
and it's reacting with the camera. It's reacting with the camera because it doesn't look like that. That hole is actually much bigger when you're there and looking at it.
Yeah. In reality, well, we can bring it up right here. In reality, this is what's happening. If you have the right cat, which we will have hopefully tomorrow, this is what it looks like, right? Boom.
Yes, it's
Right.
more on that proportion.
But because of the camera,
I remember seeing that.
the light is elongated. Yeah. But because of the camera, the light, how it captures light.
Show us what it really looks like.
Well, here in this, we'll finish this video
Okay,
because it gets better here
sure.
a little bit.
Anyway,
Right?
yeah.
I adjust.
Well, I see the black growing.
Yeah, I adjust the camera a little bit.
Yeah, it was an adjustment in the camera. It's a fun.
I see the black. I see that. So the camera is emphasizing the light
Yeah.
to a very, very great extent and minimizing the black,
Absolutely.
unless it has a proper filter.
Light is swelling or something.
Yeah, yeah. I got it.
But that's the moon in the center of the look. That's as close as you'll get to having the moon and the sun lined up with your.
Yes, right.
with-
It sounded like a bullseye.
Yeah,
Yeah.
quite something. There's
But it makes it look like the
much
moon
smaller.
is covering much less of the sun than
yeah.
it really
It's
is.
covering almost all of it. And then we have these pictures here, right, that show that. Boom. These are more. These are from special cameras, right? This is like
So now this is close to the beginning of totality.
yes. That
Because
I see what you're saying.
as totality goes on in the only in the 3 minutes, that corona gets bigger and brighter. The corona is, you see, it already did become brighter. The corona is, of course, the light surrounding the black. That's the corona. And what is that? Right? That's the sun that's so powerful, kind of peeking out, pushing out.
It's amazing.
So think of it this way. Here's I'll use my very
light if you want.
yeah, I'll use my very intricate scientific.
Light is like the sun.
So
I was reading about it.
You see?
I'm talking.
so now it's covering it, but this is so powerful, it's coming out the sides. Like the truth comes out when this is essentially what the Biden administration does to the truth. Here's the truth, the sun. They cover it, but then it starts to sneak out, and me and Pags and Gawker and Ray Kelly and Donald Trump pick it up and tell you about it. Now, what's that thing at the bottom, Ted? Just a reflection?
I think.
Oh no, that is, I believe.
starting to come out of total.
I thought
I think that's the end of the where it's coming out the other side.
yeah, it's starting to really push out now.
And who knows what this could be a line.
Yeah.
At the bottom, but quite something. We have all sorts of other footage that will be playing in the coming days and posting.
Also, the distortion here is the sky looks blacker than it is.
That's
right.
These are things I didn't even.
So
you have to explain to people.
the picture of the sun moon is absolutely accurate. No, go back to the other one. This one is not accurate.
Yeah, it's not. No,
That's an absolutely accurate picture of the moon over the sun, with the sun peeking out
yeah,
all around the circular moon. What it is not accurate picture, that black is accurate.
Yeah.
The black on the rest of the sky really is a blue black.
Yeah.
It's dark, but it's not pitch dark. It's
That's
more like, in some ways, we should take some of these pictures, keep them the way they are, but then make a version that's edited that shows
Well, I'll do one.
the way it actually looks.
Well, we can do it right now. This right here is with all
Well,
the.
don't change it though. We want to keep the original.
Yeah, this is the original with all the extra bells and whistles, a lot of the equipment we bought. And here is just from my cell phone. Boom, right? So that's just a cell. So you can see the difference.
It's very.
That's a
interesting.
cell phone zoomed in.
But that's less accurate.
Of course, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
just, and this is
That's less accurate because it's
the equipment
it is overly affected
by the light.
by the light that is squeezing out
Yeah,
from beyond the moon.
wants to pick up all the lighting.
Right.
Right.
I was reading about that light squeezing out. Einstein's claims that is proof that light bends. The corona around a full eclipse is proof that light bends in
Interesting.
space.
Interesting.
So proof that the world is round if we needed it
Yeah.
at that time.
Really?
Sure. Well, because the thing
Predicting when it.
well, because the minute you watch this, if you're any kind of an astronomer, even an ancient one, you realize that that moon travels around the Earth and produces night.
Oh yeah.
You realize that the moon produces the
That's
moon.
what night and day is.
So on the other side of the globe, right?
Yeah.
Is the complete opposite, right?
Yeah.
The sun
Yeah.
is out and the moon is all the way over here.
Yeah, the moon's tiny compared to the sun.
So the moon is going to come around, right? I mean, an Earth day is 24 hours because it takes 24 hours for that rotation to take place.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the moon.
And the sun moves, but arguably the sun moves. Astronomers or astrologers, I've forgotten which is the right description, debate whether it moves. And if it does, it makes very intricate changes of angle. But it's the moon that's really creating the day. Now, other planets have a moon, for example, that rotates the planet
Yeah.
each day, and a day is 8 hours. Some have a moon that goes around, and a day is 20 years.
Yeah. The universe knows it doesn't discriminate.
And this is why this day is so important. And if you're any kind of parent, you used it to get your kids to start questioning. Don't let somebody else tell them, fairy tales about the sun and the moon, and sure as hell that's what leads to fairy tales about climate change.
Okay, one more interesting note. When that moon was approaching, I was listening to something. When that moon was approaching the sun, it looks like it's moving so slow, right? That's why it's so slow for the totality. Take 40 minutes before all that's happened. That moon was traveling at 2,000 miles per hour. That's what 2,000 miles per hour looked like from that distance.
Oh, that's a good point.
Is that not crazy? That moon was moving at
Yeah.
2,000 miles an hour in front of the sun.
Yeah.
To us, it looked like it was moving like a snail.
Yeah. That I haven't been able to totally wrap my mind around that concept, right?
I do. I could tell you one day why that happens.
The
But
moon, the path, the shadow going across the United States, like you said, at such a high speed, but we see it differently.
well, even when you look up at the sky at an airplane and it's flying, it looks like it's going slow, but meanwhile it's doing 600 miles an hour.
Well, the Yankees
Yankees back. You gotta hear our Yankees up there.
have the best record in baseball. They're 2 ahead now of the Red Sox, which is why Dr. Maria's not here. She's went somewhere to cry. But right now they're in a very tough game with the Marlins, 3-2 in the bottom of the 7th at Yankee Stadium. Now, pretty soon, I think tomorrow at 7:05, the Yankees play a new team. But this isn't like really a team, right? It's called the Guardians. Who are they? The Guardians. Isn't that a name of a prophylactic? What is that? The Guardians. The Yankees are going to play prophylactics. Wait, what do the prophylactics do?
That was our first.
That's that woke nonsense.
Wait, that's who they're playing?
The Indians.
The Yankees are?
They're playing the
Well,
Indians.
that's Mayor. We started our first live stream I believe was
Were they
the
called
either
the-
Yankees and the Guardians or was the Astros. There were 2 series.
Was it? Were they
We-
called the Guardians then, or were they the Indians?
Oh, they were the Guardians because you start. That's when we were really making fun of. Yeah, you really. Yeah,
Sarcastic about
yeah.
conduct.
And our friend Bernie Moreno, who's now the Republican nominee for U.S. Senate in Ohio, he dinged, and I worked with him in the last campaign. One of his opponents, their family owns the Cleveland Indians, right? So we dinged them for changing the name, right? Caving to the woke. So I'll never forget that. And then the mayor, we started our show during either it was the Yankees and Guardians or Yankees and Astros, right? Because they had 2 series.
It was both.
So we can't
They
just call them
beat-
Indians if we want. We're not allowed.
I mean, I will.
Suspended for 2 days.
Yeah, you're done till Friday, Rob. No, I will say I feel a lot more comfortable now saying it. I feel like 5 years ago there was some real pressure, like saying the Washington Redskins. Maybe it was me choosing. Now I'll say it. I don't
But
even.
now there
There was a time when I felt weird saying it.
Yeah,
there's a movement,
Yeah,
including
yeah.
Native Americans, that want to bring back
Yeah,
Redskins.
because now there's no. They used to have all these traditions and all these nice things they do. They'd honor the Native Americans and all this great stuff. Now they don't do any of that. So it's crazy, right?
What do they call the Chirpos?
The Commanders, Washington. Another name that could be
What are
like
they?
a condom maker or something, right?
A condom. Or a guardian, or it could
Yeah.
be a ship
The
captain.
Commanders.
So they'll bring in all the ship captains and honor them.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Except for the one in Baltimore. That guy probably
They're
doesn't
going to
get
change the name of the Democrat Party.
bingo. That reminds me of slave. That triggers me, right? The party of slavery.
I say
That's triggering to me.
the Benedict Arnolds. They should be.
The Benedict.
Polar apocalypse. I can't take this anymore. I can't take this anymore.
Well, you.
Oh yeah, Mike and Sid. Similar view on the
Very
eclipse.
cynical
Yeah,
about these.
Sid. Hey, Sid, if you're listening, why don't you answer my text messages and let me on your show again?
Yeah.
I could get Mike on the show.
Oh, there we go.
All right.
Right, Rob is vouching for Mike.
Oh, what?
That's a step.
Sid used to have me on the show, but he's too cool for me now. So
Oh,
yeah, he's too cool. now.
Sid, you hear that?
Yeah,
You're my
he's-
friend. You love me.
He's too cool.
I'm giving-
He's too cool. Give it to him. Give it to him. He's too cool now.
You got to
Yeah,
have
yeah.
my man Mike on there.
Sid wanted to be Italian, and now he's #1 Jew now. So he's too cool for me. He's way too cool for me now.
Sid is
Yeah.
a great guy.
Yeah. He's too.
He's a
cool.
great guy. And the
Yeah.
best segment on radio Tuesdays at 8:45.
Right.
You got the mayor calling.
Oh,
in.
we always have fun.
It gets real New York in there.
Yeah, that's right.
Great.
That's right.
Well,
So we're going to sign off now and find out the good news or the bad news of the Yankees
Got an email
against the
to him.
condom.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, the Guardians.
The condoms.
They should never win. They and the Redskins should never win a
That's fucking
championship
hysterical.
yes.
until they change their name back.
Did you say there was a push for the Redskins to go
Yeah,
back?
there is.
Because then we'd honor these great. What about the Guardians? Who knows?
Thank God they both.
Silly, right? I bet you they lost fans doing that.
Of course, it's silly. When you take a poll and 90% of the Native Americans tell you they don't give a damn, you're obviously just reacting to a group of troublemakers.
Yeah, a small Rush Limbaugh taught us that.
Yeah.
Right? They were trying to cancel him in the 90s.
Yeah.
And he somehow proved it was like 4 or 5, people out there.
Yeah.
But they turned into this whole AstroTurf anyway.
Yeah.
But should we close? We have a great music video, a separate one from last night with the Eclipse. We want to play it?
Please, and we'll sign out with that. Should I say good night to everyone? Well, everyone, please, again, pray for the people of Israel. They're still under who knows what, still being completely misperceived to the extent that it's really hurting the world because we're beginning to develop another terrorist group and we're beginning to empower terrorists more than we should. Tomorrow, I'm going to spend a little time explaining how many terrorists are in the United States and that these warnings of a terrorist attack are not people being worrywarts and hysterical. They're real, more real than they've ever been. And they are completely attributable to the man that you put in the White House, possibly fraudulently. Not possibly, actually. You do register that 10% of you would have voted against him if you knew about the hard drive. That's a direct, straight, out-and-out fraud. That's being ignored. Now, the counting of the votes, I don't think we can ignore that either. Otherwise, they're going to do it again. So I know lots of people say you can't mention it. There are stations you can't go on where you can't mention it. I haven't been on Fox for 2,000 years because they don't like Trump. I don't know what it is, but gee, makes me sad because they used to be one of the strong bulwarks against infringement of free speech, and now they're a contributor to it. Not as big as the others, but still, even some contribution to it is deadly. So we'll be back tomorrow night, and we'll have more on the eclipse, but we'll have more on what the heck is going on, and is there a little switch going on here? And when you see a judge like this Clinton judge issuing an order like this, could it be that they're gaining some perspective of the damage done to the Constitution? Or could it be at the beginning to think there's going to be a new president, and maybe we better not act so crazy? That happens, you know. Well, God bless America.
La 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 la. Larga fatotum della città, largo. La 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 la. Resta bottega che l'albeggia, resto. La 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 la. Ah, che bel vivere, che bel piacere, che bel piacere per un barbiere di qualità, di qualità. Ah, bravo Figaro, bravo, bravissimo, bravo. La 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 la. Fortunatissimo per verità, bravo. La 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 la. Fortunatissimo per verità, fortunatissimo per verità. La 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 la. Pronto a far tutto la notte e il giorno, sempre d'intorno in giro sta, miglior cuccagna per un barbiere, vita più nobile non si dà. La 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 la. Raso e pettini, lancete forbici al mio comando, tutto qui sta. Lancete forbici, raso e pettini al mio comando, tutto qui sta. Vera risorsa, poi del mestiere, con la donnetta, col cavaliere, con la donnetta, la 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 lera, col cavaliere, la 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 la, la la. Ah, che bel vivere, che bel piacere, che bel piacere per un barbiere di qualità, di qualità. Tutti mi chiedono, tutti mi vogliono, donne e ragazzi, vecchie fanciulle, alla parrucca, presso la barba, con la sanguigna, nel serviglietto, tutti mi chiedono, tutti mi vogliono, tutti mi chiedono, tutti mi vogliono, con la parrucca, presso la barba, nel serviglietto, ehi, Figaro, 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 ahimè, ahimè, che furia, ahimè, che folla, uno alla volta, per carità, per carità, per carità, uno alla volta, uno alla volta, uno alla volta, per carità. Figaro, son qua, ehi, Figaro, Son qua, Figaro là, Figaro qua, Figaro là, Figaro su, Figaro giù, Figaro su, Figaro giù. Molto potissimo so come il fulmine, con il fattatum della città.